What's up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com. And in this video, I'm just going to be updating you guys on some things I've been doing for the last several months or so. Um, I've been pretty quiet on my YouTube updates. My last video, a couple videos were quite a while ago. Um, at one point on my Proxy Recommendations 4.0, I was segueing into doing some testing for some mobile proxies. I actually purchased a mobile phone on eBay, and I started messing around with one of the mobile proxy type of interfaces. I can't even remember what it is now, but I got to a certain point, and then I just stopped because there was so much I was spending money and trying to figure things out, and it just became cumbersome. Then I did this video on a case study on Google versus Bing. I did this little Instagram thing, and not very the yields on this are not very prolific, but it was an interesting method, so I thought I'd share it. There's really just a ton going on in the background. I haven't had anything to share where I felt like this is really significant. Some of the biggest things I've been working on are microsites. This is something I've been working on since last November. So an example would be something like this here. Um, I'm not going to share all of my stuff, but this would be an example of something I've been kind of working on with a few different web developers over a period of time. There's this microsite method. It's actually the same theme as my website. So some of you guys might have noticed, maybe didn't notice, but I used to have my website built into static object storage and static HTML theme. Oh, there it goes. Something I've been working on using my own site is testing the way that the posts render, because I'm trying to get a syndication. Trying to get a syndication system going to make it easier to do micro brands. And this would be an example of like a brand that just does. Eventually, I'm just going to share pictures of pink haircuts and sell like pink wigs and weaves and extensions and all this business. And the goal is to have by the end of the year like 100 different micro sites or something that sell little affiliate products and are just like image oriented e-commerce websites. I had a site that I designed in a similar static format that I sort of started to develop more seriously last November. And in the last few months, it has already started to generate like a few $100s a month just from doing link building activities. So basically, I'll just find vendors, just order links, and there's not even any content or blogging going on. So that's pretty exciting. I did a post about that somewhere recently. And the goal is to be able to do more sites like this with the same Get Ivan theme, originally designed in Bootstrap Studio. So it's just like an HTML theme. And then I basically took the theme and I handed it over to someone who does Tumblr theme design and had them design the exact same theme, but for Tumblr. And Tumblr is really cool. It's really underrated and undernoticed, basically, because it's free hosting. Even with static sites, it's like a penny a month, which is nothing, of course. But then with Tumblr, it's totally free hosting, and you can use any HTML theme that's designed to be able to integrate with the Tumblr post system. So that's one of the things I've been working on. And as you can see, I've been testing some of the post types with syndication platforms. This one service I've been using is called Hero Post. And if you go to this website and you refresh the page a few times on the pricing page, then they'll give you a lifetime deal for like $200. And that's like the best post syndicator I've been able to find. Lifetime unlimited post syndications across different social media for like $200. And so I'm working on plugging everything in there and testing the post types. It's been cumbersome. It's not perfect. Like these are all different post types. Like these don't even click through. This one's pretty good, but it's hard to get inline posts to show up. There's been issues getting things to go through into Pinterest or into Instagram. I've had issues with account creation in Instagram, account creation in Twitter. You got to get mobile phones. You got to have proxies. That's just been like a nightmare. It's been taking me forever, and basically it's been happening. I've been working on it and getting tired, and just putting it to the side, and then picking it back up later. So right now I'm working on getting the post stuff to work properly. As you can see, they all look kind of different. I'm using my own website as an experiment. But what it's looking like is having to post simultaneously and do scheduling from this platform. At one point, I was kind of looking at using Q Plus. This integrates with Tumblr and lets you put in a bunch of different brands, different tumblers, and create queues using their system. The problem is that you can't really syndicate the content from Tumblr using RSS feeds to the other social media very well. And so it's looking like I'm going to have to do direct posts in terms of schedules from something like Hero Post straight to all those platforms. So it's a really long story. Hold on a sec. But that's what I've been working on. And the end game goal is to be able to syndicate content really quickly, typically with image-oriented products, and to use the hashtags on various social media to generate organic traffic. It seems really simple, like excessively simple, like you couldn't possibly expect to build a brand, but you'd be surprised how much traffic and impressions you can get from some of these places. I posted on something the other day, and that same day from this asset, it was like well, it's kind of hard to explain, but anyways, like you get real traffic from some of these social posts when they syndicate to the right hashtags because there's real people looking at those things. So anyways, that's something I've been working on. This is kind of like a long-term diversification goal to have a bunch of different micro brands in different fields, and to just build those brands over time to generate small, affiliate commissions. Like even if you just were trying to make like $50 a month on something, it's actually profitable. So it's actually profitable to just register a domain for $10 a year. You'll actually make money. So here's another little micro brand that I started making last week for like a Synthwave, like something that I've been doing over. I've got a little bit of a background in music, and so I'm working on some of my first stuff over in Soundtrap. It's like a MIDI program for some of my first synthwave pieces I'll be doing. So this is an example of like building micro brands, in different fields where it's like simple content, and you're syndicating that to social media, and you're just building something small over time that doesn't necessarily require heavy amounts of content. Like with one of my other brands right now, I had something ranking and generating traffic and generating sales. So then I'm going back and I'm producing much higher quality content to augment what's already having success. So the rankings are kind of proving what we need to build into in the long term. So anyways, that's a big thing that I've been working on. In terms of the stuff I've been working on in, scraping, one of my long-term things is to develop the contact form submission system, and then also to harvest from the replies. So under the email scraper premium plugin, if we go to extract from email account, you can see a method for opening up the options and extracting mails from a POP3 or an IMAP server. And I tested a variety of POP3 services. One of the problems with using Gmail is there's issues with there are issues with the quantity of emails that those accounts can receive. So if you made those niche to niche, then you could maybe make that work. But I kind of experimented with Proton Mail and with a couple other mail servers, and the only one I've been able to get to connect properly that has significant inbound rules is a paid service called Fastmail. So let's. I don't think I have anything sensitive over there. Oh, let me see. What's the? Yeah, I don't necessarily want to go there right now, but Fastmail is something that I recommend you might want to look into. You can get a 30-day trial, and I'm about to start doing topical harvesting of replies using that. So it's not fully vetted, but I just want to let you guys know that's something coming. And then I also bought, what's this program called? Like a month ago, I bought this GSA website contact. It's like $100. And the problem with the Scrapebox version of the contact form submitter is that it requires you to create specialized footprints to be able to access the contact forms on page. So to my understanding, you would have to like harvest the emails, and then you'd have to have some way of being able to detect and create custom footprints for each of those pages for those contact forms. So it's just not ideal. To based on what I was researching, and I talked to some people, and the consensus was GSA website contact, specifically this facet of their program, and this is supposed to be supported to be able to for a variety of different forms. So again, this is not fully vetted, but just letting you know this is where I'm going. I'm going to use the GSA website contact, and then going to harvest using the extract from email account in Scrapebox. And then basically this is kind of my idea for how do we get more yields from hard to access niches like dentists or plumbers, where there's a lot of businesses, but there are a lot of businesses with contact forms. So this is kind of my idea for being able to get more contacts. And it's about 3/4 of the way there. I got all the programs, I got all the infrastructure, and now I just need to run the tests and figure out exactly what to do. So that's coming soon. Pretty exciting. I've been working on that slowly. And then what else do we have here? Oh yeah, B2B stuff. So as you can see from the page here, it's a bit sloppy, but I do have a new premium yield shopping cart for some real estate niches. What I'm trying to do, not everything is going to be like this, where it's search engine results and directory results, but I'm trying to go back into some of my better yields and provide both samples in each file. The real estate agents and brokers file was recently updated with a new search engine yield, and the commercial real estate brokers yield is predominantly search engine. And it's kind of the same. Most of these are going to be search engine based, but these have been specially kitted together and tightened up and pre-filtered to some degree to create these samples. So this is new stuff. I've got samples, high quality samples that have been structured for lawyers and for doctors and for something else, some one or two other things. So those are coming soon. Some premium shopping carts. I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to get these to show up consistently in my shop. So bear with me on that. It'll as soon as I get this solidified, then I'll be syndicating to everything, and it'll be things will be coming out much more quickly. Something I also wanted to share was an interesting case study on local doctors. So typically when a local search is done, you got a much more finite quantity of locations. And this is an order I did for a customer recently. So this is something I really was like, okay, we got to figure out the criteria to make this work, or else it's not going to be worth your money. And when you do a more finite area, then you obviously want to use a lot more keywords. And so I just really emphasized to this guy, the only way I'll run this scrape is if you can come up with, 50 to 100 doctor keywords, because he wanted to get as many different types of doctors as possible in a 50-mile radius in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so he legitimately did come up with like 50 different terms of doctors. And I thought, well, this could only yield maybe we can get to 10K. But it'd probably yield like 5K or something, because local searches have a much smaller yield, and then doctors tend to have a really small yield because they don't really want you contacting them by email. They want you calling and making appointments and things. But check this out. This had a yield of totally valid mails of 16,000, which was really tremendous for like a finite area, because oftentimes one niche could yield 5 to 10K or something nationally. So this is really cool to see. I think it was much bigger in the unverified. Let's see, uncertain, or not the unverified, the riskier mail. Yeah, look at this, 44K in total that you could use for like um, Facebook custom audiences or something like that. So that was really tremendous, and that really kind of like made me think about, hey, if you had like a more broad category, you could get even more contacts from a smaller area, because you have to remember that, like, for what we do, let me see. For what we're doing, if we're saying 5,000 cities in America by population times 30 results, times one keyword, 150,000 potential URLs, right? And typically I'll do 5 keywords with those kinds of orders. So 750K potential. And then if you did 43,000 cities in America with one location, I think it comes out to be pretty similar, times 30. It tends to be pretty similar. What is it, times 30? Or am I thinking? It'd be times 30 times 1, yeah. This tends to yield a pretty similar result nationally. There's a lot of duplicates, I guess, but um, those scrapes at those quantities tend to crunch down to anywhere between 150,000 to 350,000 unique URLs on average. But then this scrape, for example, it gave me like 850,000 unique URLs, which is just totally like it's probably the most unique URLs I've ever had from a finite area. So it really kind of blew me away. And that you can't process more than about 200, and well, I would say about 200,000 URLs in Scrapebox, because then for some reason the threads start getting sticky and locked, and it just freezes, and it takes forever for Scrapebox to process. So I try to get it to like 150,000 unique URLs or less, or so that it won't freeze. And so that means I have to do some good pre metadata filtering, right? Um, but it definitely made me, think about, if you could figure out a way to do like a lot of different niche keywords, but that had like one keyword in common. In this case, it'd be doctors, right? Or MD or something like that. Then you could actually get a really strong niche, broad niche topical yield from finite areas, because you have to remember, like, if whenever we do this, we're going city to city, right? So 30 results deep per keyword across some number of cities. But then if you do a smaller area, then you can increase the depth to 200, because Yahoo lets you go up to 200 results in the URLs. And obviously it gets more money, but you're going to have to do pre-filtering anyways. So technically what I'm saying is you could actually get a much stronger, by targeting a smaller area and a larger depth with a broader range of keywords, you could actually get a much stronger yield than what you would normally get. But those keywords have to have a term in common that lets you do the proper pre-filtering on the metadata. Anyways, so like you could do that with restaurants, for example. You could go Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, seafood, do all these different types of restaurants, but then you could pre-filter for restaurant and food and eat, you know what I'm saying? And then get, like a really strong yield, but then targeting a smaller, locality. Anyways, just kind of wanted to share that a local yield can still be just as strong as a national yield if you have more terms that have like the same like parent term in common, which kind of sounds wild. The problem is if you do that on the national yield, excuse me, the number of URLs that you have to process becomes just really massive. So I mean, you could still do that. It's just more difficult to handle that quantity of data. It's actually like a similar quantity of data between the two. Like, you have to use fewer terms at the national level because you're going for a whole lot more cities typically. Even if you use every city in Texas, it's like 1,000 cities or something like that. So it's not the same scope as if you were to hit 5,000 cities or 43,000 cities. So hopefully I'm making sense here. Like, that's really kind of what I do with all these custom orders, is figure out how to get the most for the variables that are involved. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that because it might help you guys get some better yields from your from some of your scrapes. Let me think if there's anything else. I did some stuff with mobile proxies. I might circle back around to that because I think there's some potential there. I talked about my microsite thing that I'm developing. I talked about my my contact form thing that I'm testing. I talked about this interesting case study with a really strong local yield. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think. Let me think here. Again, if I'm doing it, it's in a tab up here somewhere. That's pretty much all I've been doing. Just wanted to kind of do something to catch you guys up on what's been going on. So in the not too distant future, you will see a video from me on my microsite method once I've got it really churning and burning. And then you will see a video from me on the contact form method and the mailbox harvesting method. Oh, and also the cool thing about fast mail, guys, is that it has like this alias system. So it lets you create aliases inside the system at like, scent.com, which is really great for being able to create these aliases for the contact form submission method. And it's also really great to create aliases for creating new social media accounts for micro brands. So it serves like a dual purpose for creating a lot of different brands, and then also being able to segment niche-based replies on the contact form submission method. So fast mail is really cool. Only $10 a month at the maximum plan. And if I have a link, I'll put it in the description below. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you soon with some detailed descriptions of these different methods that I'm doing. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.